Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Here's the star. Yeah.
Only the air support. Borrow your flashlight? Hey, have a seat up here, man.
Here you go. I'm sure she won't mind. Yeah. You want to put your dress over here, dear? It's getting really still. Slow down.
Put it on heat. He's had it on since
You put it right in the middle? No, not there, the middle.
Middle. Where?
Oh,
middle of the
sorry.
circle. Look at me. There's a middle here.
Okay. Yeah,
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah?
I'm
Sure?
I'm up
You
here
sure?
on the ladder. Yeah.
You sure?
Yep.
It's not moving really good.
Don't worry, I'll get in the way.
Okay.
Okay. This is where all the activity is tonight. Yeah? Okay. We're going to play the same game that we were playing earlier. Turn on the light means yes. Okay? What I need you to do, if this is Sarah, is to turn off the light. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Can you turn off the light? Is this Sarah? Or is it Eliza?
It's interesting that you said that last name, because while I was sitting up here, I didn't mention it before, but I got the name Elizabeth.
Yeah, I got Eliza last time I was here.
Huh.
Okay. The doll downstairs, is that yours? Is that Sarah's doll downstairs? If it is, I need you to turn the light back on. Can you turn the light back on? Thank you. Now, for me to ask my next question, I need you to turn the light off. On the count of 3, I need you to turn the light off. You understand? 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you guys were up here before, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see all those detectors sitting around there?
Mm-hmm.
If there's any spirits up here, can you turn on, walk up to any green light or red light on the floor and light up the light? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now can you turn off the light? Sarah, turn off the light on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now what? Elmo, the elephant. Can you turn on the light on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. The only person to turn on the light is Elmo. We're going to show you exactly why. Who else do we use? Rufus the dog. Oh, Fido the dog. Fido the dog. Can you turn off the light on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. something. Elmer the elephant. You turned on the light. Can you turn off the light for me? 1, 2, 3. Does anybody understand what's going on?
The point.
Roger the rabbit. Can you turn on the light if you want me to dance naked on the roof? 1, 2, 3. Alright, I know it's a ghost hunt. There wasn't as much activity. It's like a fishing game. The reason for the light is the cold. It got to a point when we were doing it that it was almost every 15 seconds to 18, 20 seconds. It would go on, and then another 15 to 18 seconds it would come back on. The reason I asked about the EMF detectors, we had just about every one of them sitting here. Not one of them's gone off. When we were up here, we had these a little bit closer, and you see how it's flickering like that? So it's actually pulling the energy. Twice it made that blink once. That was it. But it got down to the pattern where, see how it's flickering? It wasn't doing that at first. I actually said, if it really is Sarah, can you make it blink really quick? And guess what it did? It started doing that. It only did it because the batteries were going dead. But we tried everything to prove that it was, but we couldn't do it.
That was me. Sorry.
Alright, so, and I don't mean to say anything bad about you guys being up here and saying, the flashlight, because I've seen it time and time again on TV, and that's what they do. But that's why I take these are like the worst. But it's good, like, instead of doing flashlights, do 2 of these and say pick one for yes and pick one for no. And Anthony was there when we did that the other night, and that worked downstairs. Tonight it didn't work. So it's a fishing game. This here, all this is the contacts. Kenny, you want to explain? This is the skeptic.
What happens is this flashlight has a spring switch. When you push it, when you turn it off, you're twisting it and compressing the spring. So you're taking the 2 contacts that let electricity flow and you're separating it. When you twist, now you're letting the spring pressure push the first contact into the second one, and now you have a flow of electricity. When you get that sweet spot, the contact, when it gets power, it heats up. If any light bulb in your house, the filament, when you look at the filament, that's how you get light, because it heats up that filament so much that it gives off light. But it expands. When it expands, the contacts separate. And because it's so cold up here, once it cools down, they come back together, they touch again, and turn it back on. When it starts fading in and out, that means we're getting into like a balance where it's kind of the cold and heat are fighting each other, and they're trying to hold on. But it's a trick.
Now, to prove theory, this is a flashlight that's on. Now I know it's a push button, but if they can turn on and off a flashlight like this, theory is with this, they're supposed to be like able to like touch it, tap it. That's why it's set to a point where you should be able to just like tap it and it'll come on. If the light's down there, if Elmo the elephant's here, he could shut off the light right now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. I think the cold has a lot to do with it. This might work in a controlled atmosphere. No, then again, it wouldn't. It'd still be
It would be
controlled.
in a warm environment.
It would be a little more accurate.
Yeah.
Now, this is what we were doing. We were doing Chaka Khan zapping to this. We actually had it on the floor, and we could actually do this to make it come on. So it's not saying this place is not haunted, because we've caught enough stuff here that I can say it's haunted, but it's not. The questions, like Anthony asked 28 questions. Now, if Anthony does it the way we were saying, make sure you give him time to answer. Anybody could be misled or disproved by what happened here, because at one point we were asking questions, it was like it was answered. But then we started asking other questions, and it was like taking longer to answer or it didn't answer. Then all of a sudden, we just asked for Roger Rabbit, Rufus the dog, Polly the parrot. Who else? Marvin the monkey. And monkey food. And they all answered. But then we sat here, and this is what we're doing. Like the skeptic here. You have to look at everything. If we put the light down here, he was doing the same thing I was doing when we couldn't see each other. Is when the light went off, I'm tapping my thumbs. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. And in the beginning it wasn't accurate, but then it was getting to, like, it was almost 15 seconds on the dot. So I could sit here and count in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Marvin the monkey, can you turn on the light? You're going to count to 5, or count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 2 seconds, it comes on. Does everybody agree?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to say anything is bad or anything like that, because, you know, if there's a spirit up here, you try to laugh because they're playing with a flashlight. But what was odd was none of these went off, blinked, nothing. So if a spirit has energy to turn on and off a flashlight, and right now we have more up here than we had before. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 6 sitting here, and not one thing budged.
Mm.
Temperature stayed the same the whole time. We didn't hear the same whining noise that we heard, but it was something outside. This is far from controlled because there's a lot of people here. But even when there's not a lot of people here, we were here last week. There's so much outside noise. The temperature in this place, it goes up and down. This room's freezing. We had this door open. The cold air was coming downstairs. He shut off the heat a while ago. That's why he's sitting downstairs by the fire. So, and I asked him to shut it off because I didn't want the noise running through the place.
Makes sense.
So you blame me? Yeah, well. But it's just to show you guys, you have to have common sense when you do it too. You don't want to be one of those teens that go out there or one of those people and you get, because we're all right, we might have been downstairs laughing a little because everybody was like getting excited, saying, you know, we heard this, we heard that, it did this, it did that. But that's the whole point of going out. I mean, you learn from it as well. If we didn't tell you about that, you probably would have done it 10, 15 more times, but there's no point in deceiving you guys. So TAPS does it all the time on TV. And guess what? They aired this episode when? December?
7th.
How much you want to bet that they did the flashlight game? Now when you're sitting there watching that episode, you can all sit back and go, yeah, remember Elmo the elephant? Remember Roger Rabbit, Polly the parrot, Marvin the monkey.
And keep in mind too, I mean, you guys are well aware of editing processes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
all for show.
And